Okay, so we are back with our, I guess, first real episode of the Overnight Success podcast. And we're going to be talking about giving your business system a makeover. And before we kind of show you the how, I want to go over really the main pain points and what we see more often than not with businesses that we work with and the challenges that they're facing. And then we can talk about how we help with that. And so, Cristy, it's great to have you back. I think, when we look through this, one of the biggest things is just broken systems in general. And we have these people, they're doing really successful, they have a successful business, but a lot of it's all inside of spreadsheets, as an example. And the team doesn't know where to go. They have different questions. There's a lot of emails back and forth. And a lot of times they're having daily or weekly meetings just to get the status of things. Those are the biggest things that always stand out to me. What are things that you always think about when we're meeting with these clients?
Yeah, so a lot of times we see that they have a lot of disparate systems, right? Or disjointed technologies. They're only using them to the partial percentage, and they're not actually optimized in a way that is good for their team health and their organizational health. Not a lot of times people actually understand who's responsible for something or if something's been done, because when you are just making those updates in the spreadsheet, there's no real accountability there. So we like to help people like that. A lot of times too, they're outdated systems. So it's important that people are coming back through monthly or quarterly or even annually and looking at what is working and what's not working. And again, with a lot of times we've seen our customers will say, well, we've always just done it that way. And so what's cool is when we can come in, we actually can take kind of that 30,000 foot approach, and then it allows us to have that outsider view and help them optimize and scale their systems and their processes. And I've heard this cool acronym the other day. It was SYSTEM. It stands for Save Yourself Time, Energy, Money. And that really aligns with what we do is we're looking at your systems, but a lot of times when you're in the weeds of it, it's hard to identify how to improve those things. So that's where we step in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, like you said, people say this is the way it's always worked. They don't really see how painful that potentially is, or they're so busy that like they don't have time to analyze and review that. And I think that's one of the reasons we want to talk about this today is I feel like you can't afford not to evaluate. And I was reading a book and they're talking about systems are built to succeed for exactly what they were built for, or something like that. I'm kind of butchering the phrase, but essentially, if you built the system to do the thing, then that's exactly what it's going to be successful at. But as your business changes, you need to build a new system to succeed at a newer thing. But we don't always have time for that, like I said, and you're kind of evaluating, and you don't want your team to kind of fall apart because they're really good at the thing you hired them for. If they're a salesperson, they're great at sales. If they're finances, they're great at finances. But if they're getting stuck in the weeds because they have to fill out all this paperwork that doesn't quite make sense, or there's this technology that isn't updating properly, then they're slowing down, which just causes them to be upset, which takes away energy from them to do the thing that you hired them for, and it just kind of a downward spiral. And I think understanding that if you want to scale your business, that throwing extra people at it is not the best way to do it. The most expensive part of any business is typically labor. And so if you want to double your business next year, in a lot of cases, you might have to almost double your workforce or greatly increase it. Maybe not double, but greatly increase it. So if you can readjust your systems so that way you can continue to get more revenue while keeping your costs about the same, like that abundance gap, the higher revenue, lower costs, like that's where you want to be. And a lot of times that's going to come down to technology or even just the people management or just putting the right processes in place. And that's where we want to focus on, which I think leads great into number one on our list, which is project management, which is one of my favorites. I think I've been in software now for 10 years, and we need to make sure that when we're looking to add new products or new software to a website or a whole new SaaS suite, that it's organized in the right way so we can get it out the door as quickly as possible and we're not stuck in things. Software engineers are very expensive, and so if they're spending more time in meetings than they are with their hands on the keyboard, then you're not going to get stuff out the door as quickly and you're just not going to make that amount of money. So let's talk about project management and those tools. Cristy, I'll let you kick off first with the project management side.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as certified partners with Monday.com, and we are experts with ClickUp as well, those are our preferred platforms because of the robustness that they offer. But ultimately, what happens when you don't have a proper project management in place, your team is missing deadlines, and there's unclear ownership of tasks, and deadlines are being missed. Ultimately, we're relying on a lot of back and forth communication. And sometimes, one of our favorite things to say is that we're trying to help reduce silos, but also reduce communication. And that might sound weird because as you're working to build your team, you want to communicate, but we want to help you communicate more effectively to help you save time and energy, because context switching is challenging. And also, when we look at these project management systems, we can automate and integrate a lot of the pieces so that they're working for you, not against you. And when we can step in and look at your technologies and the tools that you're using, we can also identify if you're using them to their fullest capacity. So a lot of times we've identified too, we can get rid of a lot of different technologies that customers are using or small business owners are using, and then say, hey, if we remove these other ones, but we actually improve the one project management tool that you're using, you will have more of a transparent visibility of who's responsible for what, where you're at in the project, what the deadlines are and the deliverables are. And it's more optimized, right? So yeah, project management tools are very powerful.
Yeah, no, one thing I'll say when we meet with a lot of people, they kind of fall into one of two buckets. They either have their entire business inside of spreadsheets. I talked about that earlier, and they just change the status in a single cell and they've got 50 rows and they're just all in here updating the same sheet, and there's no assignments and there's no automations and things like that. Or they potentially got great marketing from Monday.com or ClickUp and they purchased it, but they're pretty much using it as a glorified spreadsheet where they just copy pasted it in there. There's not really the automations or the connection of those boards or lists. And so I think, there's a lot of money that's been poured into these project management systems. And I just want to highlight that these things are really built to accomplish all the things you said, Christy, as far as like connecting people together, automating, we can create dashboards from it to highlight the things that are at risk, notify people when the task before you is done so you know when to kick it off. So that's cutting down on the communication piece. These things can be set up in a really robust way, and sometimes you don't have to go all the way and have it integrated with 8 other systems and things like that, but you really want to go in very intentional to understand at the end of the day or at the end of the week, what do I want my team to know? We always say the people need to know what's assigned to them and what they're working on when they log in every day. And then at the next level, we'll call it the 10,000 foot view at the manager, they need to understand what is the status of all the things, what are the things on time, and is anything fallen behind so that they can highlight that. And then I think finally, we like to kind of highlight those bottlenecks to whether it's people using the system. I love ClickUp has some things in there as far as it gives points to how much people are interacting with the system. And so it'll give you a cool little widget of like, I think they call them ClickUp points or something like that. And it just tracks of like, this person's been using the system. They've updated so many tasks throughout the day, things like that. Or understanding like, hey, this person's been behind on deadlines like multiple weeks in a row, like maybe have a conversation with them. It's not to just like throw people under the bus, but if you don't know what's wrong with the system or the process or what's going wrong, you're just going to keep ending up with those bad results without understanding the why. So these project management systems have a lot of large teams listening to their customers' feedback to build the ultimate system and giving you all those features that are constantly being updated. So a lot of times people that don't they think they're too complicated or they want a very basic task management system like Google reminders and things like, there's a big step into that direction, but the ROI on it is just invaluable.
Yeah. I would add to that too, just really quickly, is several of our clients that we've migrated into a platform such as ClickUp or Monday have been very transparent that in the work that has been automated and the dashboard views that they get and the integrations with some of their other technology saves themselves 8 to 10 hours a week. So it's really powerful when your systems are working for you so that you can actually continue to build your business, right? You're not going into these technologies and they're slowing you down. The goal is that they're actually helping you improve your processes and your systems.
Yeah, I will say sometimes we do get that little bit of, pushback because there's change happening, right? And so that is one thing to call it. Like, this is not going to be sunshines and rainbows if you do want to implement a project management system. But at the end of the day, if you explain those goals of like, let's streamline this so you're spending less time doing paperwork and updating statuses and more time doing what you joined this company for, I think it goes a really long way. And we've seen it multiple times where not so happy in the beginning, but then they realize at the end is like, oh wow, this is great. We've cut down on meetings, communication, all these different things. And a lot of times once we show them what the systems are capable of, now they can dream bigger, and then they start asking for bigger requests, which is also fun because now it's like, oh, okay, now they get it. And like, let's just keep streamlining this. And it's a never ending ball, right? I mean, once we get you to a certain date, a year from now, your company might grow, and now we need to adjust that system every once in a while. But once you've built that great foundation in a Monday or a ClickUp, it's really easy to continue to adjust and iterate.
Percent. Yeah, we like to say we like to partner with our clients because we want to grow with them. We're going to build something that they need today, and then we can fix it, not fix, but improve upon, right? Their business is growing, that system should improve with them.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So with that, let's transition into customer management or people management, which a lot of times ties into project management, which we can talk to in a little bit. But let's talk about the value of a CRM or a customer relationship management system. And because I think some people don't entirely understand what that is or how to use it. So Cristy, I'll let you kick us off and then I'll jump back in when you get done.
Yeah. So CRMs are very powerful. There comes a point in the business where, you think you're maintaining everything. It's all in your head and you're in spreadsheets or you're in your notes or your notebook. And then there comes a point where your team grows or you're getting so many leads where you're starting to have things fall through the cracks. And ultimately, a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, we have an opportunity called the toolkit that will help create workflows and pipelines so that you're not missing communications with your potential leads and your potential clients, and you're able to automate a lot of the communication from beginning to end. I'll let you talk a little more, Jon, on the technology side of what that looks like, but the benefit of having a CRM is truly improving communication from the customer life cycle. You've got somebody who comes in the door as a cold lead, a warm lead, or a hot lead, and then you move them through. And the objective is that they turn into a client for your company, right? And through those different stages, there can be automated communication, but there can also be just a visibility for you and your team to understand where that person is sitting. And then it's cool too, because you have a place to take notes on those conversations that are happening. But I could talk for a really long time on CRMs and the power of it, but I want to turn it over to you so you can dive into kind of some of the pros of having a CRM.
Yeah, I mean, I get really excited from the technology side because we can integrate a CRM with a lot of other systems. With the toolkit, it's really good at that customer communication and automation, and to your point, the tracking. For me, a lead, you want to know every single thing you can know about them and track it, and also you want the rest of the team to be able to access that. If you have a large sales team, you want to make sure that if somebody were to leave, that all of those leads that they were managing, like you have all the notes on them and those communications. I think if you have those automations in place, somebody fills out a form on a website, you can drop them into the right pipeline. You can automate some of the communications that go out so that way you don't lose them. In this world of technology, people can very quickly find somebody else very quickly. So you want to be able to automate, get their attention as quickly as possible, understand as much as possible so you can try to get them onto a call, right? In most cases, when we build these basic pipelines, it's submits a form or shows some type of interest through an email. You try to get them booked on a call. The call is booked. You talk to them. Maybe next it's a sales call or a proposal call. And then the goal is to get that sale closed. And without a CRM, that's really difficult. And we've seen that in spreadsheets before too. Or it's in the owner's head or it's on their phone. And again, to me, getting all of that out of your brain space is powerful just by itself, which that could be done with a spreadsheet, but get it into that system so you can understand it, especially when it logs all of the communication back and forth. So if they text a phone number, that's integrated into the CRM. If they email you, all of that communication's there. So you don't have to search through your thousands of emails in your entire inbox. to find like, oh, what was the last thing that we talked about? What was the last date? So I think that's really powerful. And we really focused on the CRM of, getting the sale. And that's typically when we would maybe push that information over to a project management system. So there's one thing we always try to clear up is CRM in most cases is definitely going to be for that lead and customer management up until the sale. I mean, you still do all the communication after the sale, but from there, like to manage the actual output or the fulfillment of the thing that you sold, if you're a service company like we are, then you want to do all of that in a project management system because again, that's built much more for that. But sometimes too you want those customers in their newsletters is a great deal. Like you add all these people that might have been interested, they either bought or they didn't buy, but you want to stay top of mind so when they are ready to buy 3 or 5 months from now that you're on top of mind and that they might be willing to reach back out and buy from you then. Or in some cases that we've seen, we just had this with a client of ours, like we worked with them a year ago and now they're ready to upgrade their system and we're staying top of mind. They reached out to us, which was good, but again, you want to keep that relationship as strong as you can with the customer. That automated communication is huge for onboarding. We want to make sure that as soon as they do invest money with us, that they're getting that white glove treatment and that we're making sure that, hey, we're not going to ghost you once, now that we got your money, we're not ghosting you. Like we want to fulfill this as quickly as possible. And we've seen in some cases, clients are really good at what they do, but like with that disjointed system, they fall flat on the fulfillment of it. That they're not doing it on purpose. It's just when you've got these different broken systems that they're kind of losing track of it. So again, that CRM can really help with that. And I love how that ties really well into project management.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you touched on so many things. So the cool thing about the toolkit is that everything's in one platform. So our goal is to get rid of a lot of those extra systems that you have because context switching also will reduce your productivity. It's really hard to jump into different apps. And the cool thing about the toolkit is you can have a calendar management system, you can have the communications. So all of your text messages, all of your emails, even your social medias can all be in the one platform and you can communicate through there. The automations through email and or text message can be broken down into different funnels, and when that person might respond or not respond, they can be routed a different direction, which is also very powerful to help with communications because you only get one chance to make a first impression, right? So that's a really cool thing about putting somebody into a CRM is that when you've got your automated communications, you're able to give them that white glove service and even something down to like sending them an automated reminder of happy birthday, right? Like a lot of times that makes somebody feel very special. And if you can find out their birthday, you can plug it into the toolkit. And then from there, it'll automatically send out the communication and they think, they're special and you've thought about them. And yes, you have, but you continue to stay top of mind when you've automated your system and it's working for you.
Yeah, I forgot about. I mean, I didn't even think about the calendar integration piece there. I think quickly that's a great automation of rather than 5 emails back and forth to find a time that works for both of you, having a calendar link, and especially when it's integrated directly into your CRM, because this might be the first time that they're added to your CRM, but once they fill out that form and select 10 o'clock on Friday, like now they're part of it, and you know that was your first interaction, and then all future correspondence is logged inside of the toolkit. So I think that's a great small piece to add on to that. Looking at time here, let's go on to our third one, which is operations management. And this to me kind of wraps up project management and customer management because it's cool if you have a great project management piece of software. It's cool if you have a great CRM software. But if you don't have the documentation and the processes in place, then that might fall apart. There's so many businesses out there that have all these different apps, but because it's not organized in a right way and the team hasn't been trained on it, it does fall apart. And you've got some people that are the ambassadors and the gurus on it, and like they do really well with it. And you got the other people that's like, I don't even understand how to use this. And they're slowing down again, back to that time savings piece is they're getting stuck not being able to do their real job because they're stuck trying to use the software. So let's talk a little bit about operations. This one isn't quite as big as project management and customer management, but we really want to focus on like the SOP side of thing. I love ClickUp for this because you can build these SOPs on like how to do onboarding. We have this for onboarding, right? If somebody signs up for the toolkit, I've got 10 different things that we have to set up for them. And it's really easy that everybody in the team understands what those 10 things are for consistency. And ClickUp's great because then when you kick off a new project, it automatically copies those 10 things, that's the kickoff of the list. Is the same 10 things every time, and you can adjust it as you go. I think training is always overlooked a lot at companies because they just hired somebody, they invested a lot of money, they want to get them up and running as quickly as possible. And if you don't train the same, you might come back 3 or 6 months later, it's like, why is this person just not quite fitting the role or checking the boxes that we expected? And if you didn't train them efficiently, then it's very possible that you missed items, and you're setting bad expectations, because if you didn't train them properly, then they're not going to be able to do it properly, and they don't know what they don't know. So SOPs, I think, are critical, and putting that in a place, even if it's just Google Docs in a shared Google Drive, or a place like ClickUp, is really powerful. Using those automation tools properly, understanding what your CRM is used for, understanding what your project management tool is used for, what those processes are, is really powerful. But understanding the processes as a whole. What are your thoughts, Cristy?
Yeah, you touched on some really solid points there. And I think when we look at operational management, having a framework for your business is super important. And when we look at a lot of these business owners, we've talked to over 100 people at this point, where it's the riches in the niches, right? So these people have found the path that they want to pursue their business in, but their operations are all over the place because that's not what they're passionate about. So what's cool is a lot of times when we start talking with customers, where they're coming in at the people management or the production management, but strategically and operationally, 80% of a business is the same. It's the 20% that makes it unique. So these people, they're passionate about what they do, but they haven't figured out like the solid business foundation. So when we're talking about onboarding, when we're talking about SOPs, when we're talking about a task management system or a people management system, a lot of that can be duplicated across industries, but we're going to customize that to be a fit for your company. So after talking to hundreds of business owners at this point, we've identified a lot of this is very similar. And if you don't know what you don't know, then it's very hard. But we found these proven success models to go into these two platforms where we can eliminate a lot of other tools such as MailChimp or Calendly or HubSpot or Trello, like these tools that don't quite work as well as you want them to, or they're very expensive. And we can get you into these two platforms and really help optimize your business.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about on the operations side, it's not fun. Trying to take, if you have no standard operating procedures right now, you have no documentation, like, it is not fun. And to ask a bunch of busy team members to start creating this documentation, like, it is not on their favorite list of things to do, but it will help out. And a lot of times, if you feel those bottlenecks and you understand from the high level of where you want to go, documenting that can really help out. And again, you're going to be potentially pushing change on your team. You're going to potentially realize that half the company does it one way, the other half does it a different way, and you have to come up with one solid way for your team to work on that. And you're going to be, you're going to be hit with some friction. But I think if you always need to come in with that right mindset and explain to the team what the goal is, and understand that they get that buy-in, and just work really hard to push towards it. And don't make everything so strict. I've seen it before where process is so rigid that there's just no room for flexibility, and you expect everybody to work in the exact same way. Like, that's a little bit too far. But if you let everybody do whatever they want, they can use whatever software they want, then that's where things fall through the cracks. And it would sink that if you invest in a nice project management system and a CRM, that it all falls apart because you don't have those processes and those documents in place.
Yeah, I would add on that just really quickly is like ultimately having the platform of a people management, production management set up properly and to its full use case with the help of proper automations and integrations is going to give your team, yes, there are the challenges, but it's going to give your team a more efficient way of working and ultimately a better experience. It's also going to give your customers a better experience because things aren't going to be falling through the cracks. So it's very important to have proper systems in place, and it'll help improve efficiencies and productivity, and your customers will also feel that. So improving the back end of things will help you actually scale your business better too. And to your point, you said it earlier, you don't have to necessarily improve your headcount on staff, but if you improve your technology, it's gonna be affected and felt. from inside and outside your company.
Yeah, that's great. So let's look at, people, if they've listened this far, I'm sure that they're thinking of some things to change in their business. And let's go over a couple things like how to identify if your business does need a makeover. And so like we kind of talked and touched on a lot of these, our tasks falling through the cracks regularly, talk to your team. I think sometimes too, things might be falling through the cracks and you just think it's the team or whatever, but like talk to the team to understand like how they're feeling about their systems, and are they complaining about why do I have to do this other meeting, or why am I filling out this report when all you have to do is go in here and look there? Talk to the team, because again, if they're getting stuck on this, they're not doing their best because they're getting stuck in the processes. Do you have an understanding of where every project stands without having to have a meeting to get the status updates? And are you losing out on business because you're missing up on those follow-ups or the responses? Do you not have that optimized CRM that a lead reaches out to you and connects with you and then you forget about them because you're so busy doing other things? So if you answered yes to any of these, chances are your business could definitely use a makeover. Do you have any more to add to that, Cristy?
No, I think that's really good. Awesome. But look, have a good look in the mirror, right? And ask yourself those questions, because if you want your company to grow, then these are really important and valuable to your company.
Yeah, and I would say if you have not evaluated or reviewed your systems in over a year, then that's also a yes.
Yeah.
I think, again, sometimes you created this when you were a startup company making X, and now you're making three times that, and you haven't really adjusted your systems, or you've only adjusted 5% here and there because you hired some new people and you had to figure it out right there in the moment. Like, that is not the way that you build an optimized system. Like, it takes time, energy, and just like that focus. And so like if you have not given a true review of your system, like this is a great time now of year kicking off the year. Just this is going to be sitting down with the team, understanding what's working, what's not working, making sure that you understand what you're going to want to see at the end of the day or the week, and bringing all that together through the different tools. And the good thing about that is we have two ways that we can help you with this. So if you want the DIY route, we do have a great audit download on our website. So if you go to the optimizationspecialist.com/download. There's a full audit checklist that you can download. It goes over those three areas: project management, customer management, operations management. But if you definitely want more of a hands-on, we've at this point have seen behind the curtain of a lot of different businesses and a lot of different industries. We can look through all of your technology stack. We can look at your processes, seeing are you using your tools to the fullest? Are you using tools that you don't have to and maybe you could eliminate? And larger companies on average, they're using something like 200 apps when you include email and SSO and all these crazy things. And in a lot of cases, you can eliminate or combine some of those. Also make sure that they're talking to each other. That's one thing we didn't talk about earlier, is making sure that all of your apps are talking to each other. But we'd love to jump on a call with you. So that is at theoptimizationspecialist.com/audit. And that you get to book a call with us for an hour. We'll go through everything and then we'll give you a nice blueprint at the end of just like, hey, here's the 12 apps that you're using. We recommend you maybe purchase this other one, or you could eliminate this if you did this or that. Like we want to give you kind of that full review. And again, it's you mentioned it on our last episode, Cristy, that it's hard to see the label when you're inside the jar. Like, so yeah, if you're in the middle of it and you don't have the time to kind of zoom out and do that 30,000 foot view, let us do it. Like, this is what we are good at, and we'll help you identify those things to make sure that you can continue doing what you're good at. So both of those are on our website, again, /audit to jump on a call with us, or /download to download the DIY audit that you can look through.
Yeah,
With
that's
that,
great.
we're coming kind of close to a close here. I mean, we've gone through a lot, those three areas: project management, customer managed operations. So many great tools out there. It's understanding how to use those, making sure that the team knows how to use those, and making sure that they're optimized for the most efficient processes and team functionality out there.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this next episode with me, Jon, and talking through the tech audit. It's super powerful. 1 hour, we can save you time, we can save you money, we can save your team energy too. So I highly recommend getting on a call with one of us. We're here to help business owners scale, and we're on a mission to help you save time, money, and energy. So yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, Cristy. Yeah, good luck to everybody out there. Do a great evaluation of your systems. If you need our help, you know where to find us, and we look forward to talking to you in the next episode.